today I'm going to be teaching you how to make biome cubes in Blender. So we're going to create a ruin, we're going to create a duck pond, and we're also going to create a little camp scene. During this tutorial, I will teach you a bunch of tips and tricks that I use every day when I'm 3D modeling. I'm using Blender 3.4 for this tutorial, and let's jump straight into Blender. So we're just going to select the camera and delete it, and select the light and delete it. And as you can see down here, you can see what I'm doing on my mouse and keyboard as well. So if you're confused about what I'm saying, it's just down here. Now the first thing we're going to do for these little island cubes is we're going to make the base one that we're going to use for the rest of them. So to do that, we have this cube, and we're probably going to go in and add a subdivision modifier. Now we have a circle, that's not actually what we're after. We're going to tab into edit mode, so we're going to go Control R, scroll up your mouse wheel, just like that, and we want to add 2 loop cuts, just like that. So then we have this beautiful little cube here, and I'm also going to actually do one on this side, just like that. So now we have this beautiful cube, and in the subdivision modifier, just on the right hand side, we're going to turn the level viewport up to 2, just like that. So that is pretty much what we are after. I'm going to shade it smooth, and I think that cube is looking great. I'm going to tab back into edit mode. I'm going to press 1. I'm going to press Option Z, or it might be Alt Z for you, and I'm going to select maybe all of these vertices just there. Press 1 again. I'm going to go Shift D to duplicate, P to separate the selection. Now if I tab back out into object mode, go Option Z or Alt Z to get rid of the X-ray, you can see we actually have another piece just sitting on top. And this piece is going to be the grass or whatever you want it to be. So basically we're going to use this consistent shape, so just this little square for all of them so that they're all the same shape. But the tops of them might be different, they might have different elements on them. So now that we've actually completed the first square, we'll go Shift D to duplicate, and we'll just move it out of the way. We don't need him at the moment, and we'll bring him back in when we're doing the next cube islands. So now that we just have this little guy, there's a few things I want to do. So I want to maybe tab into edit mode. What I might do is press 1, select some of the vertices, and extrude it down like that. Just there. We don't want them all to be the same, so just go around and pull them however you want to do that. Alright, so that is kind of what my grassies are looking like. Now I'm just going to go in and add the solidify modifier, and I'm going to pull it above the subdivision modifier. As you can see, it adds depth to it, so we can make the depth big or small like that, so whether we want it to come in, just like that, and I think that is the look that I am going for just there. Now this first one is going to be maybe like a ruin or a pyramid type of thing, so we can practice extruding and scaling and actually modeling from a cube. So what we want to do is we want to go Shift A, and we want to add in a cube. We want to scale it down, we want to bring it up. I'm going to press 1 for side view, and then I want to scale it down, and I'm just going to scale it out. I want it to be maybe a little smaller than that, and then just down. We're going to bring it down so it's just touching, just like that. And I might even just bring it down just a little more. We're going to tab into edit mode. We're going to go up here to face select, or you can press 3 on your keyboard, and I'm going to select the top face. I'm going to extrude and scale. I'm going to extrude up like this. Then I'm going to extrude and scale. Then I'm going to extrude up to about here, extrude up again, extrude and scale, and just repeat that one more time, just like that. So this is kind of the ruins that I'm going for. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select these faces. So I'm going to just hold down Option, or it might be Alt for you, and select all of those faces. I'm going to go Option E, or it might be Alt E for you, and go extrude faces along normals, and I'm just going to pull them out just like that. That is kind of the vibe I am looking for. Now it's quite pointy. There's not a lot of roundness in there, so I'm just going to add in a bevel modifier. And as you can see, as we turn up the segments, it's just going to round everything out a little bit. So that is what I am looking for. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in another cube. We're going to scale it down. We're going to bring it up, and then we're going to bring it out. I'm just going to press 3 for side view, because I'm just going to scale it along the y-axis, just like that. So that is kind of the vibe I'm going for. I'm just going to scale it in just a little bit. We're going to go into edit mode. we're going to go into face select, and I'm just going to press I to inset, and then I'm just going to bring that down a little bit, press E and then Y, just like that, because then we have an entrance, because then we have a little entrance to it. So I'm just going to add in a bevel modifier, bevel it a few times, just like that. Perfect. So now what I want to do is I want to put a bunch of little pillars around everywhere. So I'm just going to go Shift A, we're going to add in another cube, we're going to scale it down, and we're going to go slash, so we go into isolation mode, just like that. I'm going to scale it down about there. We're going to go into edit mode, face, and I'm going to press 1. Now we're going to make some pillars, so we're going to extrude and then scale. Extrude up just like this. Then I might extrude and scale out. Extrude up. I'm going to add in a couple loop cuts just here. And then I'm going to face select them all. Option E. And extrude faces along normals just like that. That is what I'm looking for. At the top, I'm going to extrude and scale in. And then extrude and scale up. Just like that. So this is what our pillar is going to look like, and I do want to add a subdivision modifier to it, so I'm going to press A, and then I'm also going to subdivide it a couple of times just to give it that roundness to it. So there are the pillars, and I quite like that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come out of isolation mode, and I'm going to start to place it just like that. Then I'm going to add the array modifier. I'm going to separate them just a little bit, and then we can put them around just like that. And then we can also duplicate them, option D, and then just put them on the other side. So we have a few beautiful pillars like that. I'm actually going to duplicate them again and pull them out towards the Y and put them in the back as well. And then I'm just going to increase the count like that, just like that. So I'm going to actually have 2, but I'm just going to separate them out just to be 1 at each corner, just like that. You can go to 7 as well if you want to just make sure everything is aligned properly. That is what I want it all to look like. Now you're probably thinking there's not a lot of foliage around, maybe we want to increase that, we want to put some little trees everywhere, and I will show you how to do that now. We're going to go Shift A, and we're going to add in a plane. We're going to scale it down, and we're going to go into isolation mode by pressing the slash. We're going to scale it along the Y, just like that, go into edit mode, and we're going to add some loop cuts. We'll add 1 here, and we'll add 2 there. We want to go into vertice select, and I am going to just scale these down, and I'm going to scale down these ones too, just like that. I'm going to select the center, and I'm going to turn on proportional editing. I'm going to press 3, and I'm going to go G, and I'm going to go up. As you can see, it's lifting the whole thing, so what I need to do is actually scroll down my wheel so that I can bring down the proportional editing, just like this. So I do want to bring it up, and then I'm also probably just going to add another one in here so that I can also bring it up, just like that. I'm going to select all, I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to extrude them down just like this. Then I'm going to add in a subdivision modifier to it. I want the leaf maybe just to be a little thicker, so I'm actually going to turn off proportional editing, pull down those vertices a little bit more, and then select. I'm quite liking how they are looking. I'm going to select them all, and I'm actually going to rotate them 180 degrees, just like that. What you can do is you can turn on proportional editing, and you can start pulling out however you want them to look. What I am going to do is I want to select all, G, and then Y, and then I'm also just going to rotate it just like that. So that's kind of what I'm wanting it to look like. I'm quite happy with the modeling of this at the moment, so I'm going to tab out, I'm going to shade it smooth, and then I'm also going to go Control A, and I'm going to add transformations, and I'm going to apply the rotation scale as well. I'm going to bring in a curve, and that curve is a circle. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so you can actually see what I'm doing. I'm going to go Control A, rotation scale, and apply all transformations. If you don't do that, this will not work, so make sure you've done that. I'm going to apply the array modifier to this guy, and I'm going to turn it to object offset, and then select the circle. I think I want 9 leaves. Then we're going to go over here to the object properties, and in the Z, we're going to go 360 divided by 9. And now you have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful plant. And I love doing this technique. It just turns out so, so good. One thing though is it is looking like a flower. So I definitely think I want to rotate it. So I might actually take away the array modifier. And then what I might do is rotate it, is set the origin to geometry and then rotate it just like that. Now we're just going to go Control A, apply the rotation and scale like that, and then we can add the array modifier. I think I want 9 again, I quite liked having that, and then we're going to go Object Offset and select that circle. Back to Object Properties, in the Z, go 360 divided by 9. Yeah, so that's more what I'm looking like just there. I do think that there's maybe too many now, so we might pull it down to 7. So then you go 360 divided by 7, just like that. And that's definitely what I'm looking for. I think that looks really good. What you can do is you can tab in, you can go Control Z, and you can actually pull in these sides, and then you can just scale them in. They're looking a little bit too much, just like that. So that's more of the look I am going for. So I'm going to tab back into object mode, and then I'm going to go to the array modifier and click apply. I'm going to just delete the circle for now. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go Shift D to duplicate this. The one that's on top, whatever one you've selected, I'm going to apply the array modifier, and then I'm going to move it away just there. With this one that's already there, I'm going to increase the count to maybe something like 17, and then we're going to go 360 divided by 17, which is lovely. And then we're going to go over here to the Z, and we're just going to increase the Z just like that. And then we're also going to rotate it along the Z. And as you can see now, it's turning more into a plant, just like that. So you can add as many leaves to it as you want. So you can keep going just like that. So that's another way that you can make a few plants just from one object. I'm quite happy with that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply that. I'm just going to delete this circle, and I'm going to tab into edit mode. Now you can see they all have their own vertices, and they're also all their own object. I'm going to press 1, and I'm actually going to select the top vertices, just like that. I'm going to turn on proportional editing, and I'm going to click scale. What that's going to do is it's going to scale them in a little bit to make them all a little bit of a different size. If you look at a plant, the top ones are usually a lot smaller than the bottom ones. So that is what we've done there. What I'm now going to do is go Shift A, and I'm going to add in a cylinder. We just need 16 vertices just in the side, so I'll scale it down. And then I will scale it up and scale it down. Just until I find what I'm looking for, something like that. I'm going to add the subdivision modifier to it. Then I'm going to tab in, I'm going to add a loop cut to the top and a loop cut to the bottom. And that is really what I'm looking for. As you can see, some of the leaves don't actually touch. So you can go back into edit mode over here. You can select some of the vertices. And you can use proportional editing if it's easier, and you can just move them a little bit so that they are touching. I am quite happy with what that is looking like just there, but I am wanting to shade that middle bit smooth. Maybe just scale it a little bit, or even just go in and go into X-ray mode and scale down just like that. Perfect. So now we have these two plants. We're going to select both, and we're going to come out of slash mode, and then we're going to bring them up because we're going to start placing them around. With just this other one here, we can actually make a different variation of it as well. If we go Shift D, pull it along the Y, Shift D again, bring it up, and then rotate it. So we can do more of a bush, and then we can Shift D it again, and we can scale it in just like that. So maybe I want to scale that one as well. So just a bunch of little variations of these plants. I'm going to select this plant. I'm going to go in for merge, and I'm going to add it to collection. So this is plant 1, then we have plant 2, and then this one is plant 3. So now you can see in the side plant 1, plant 2, and plant 3 just like that. So it should make it a lot easier for us to use. So now what you can do is you can just place them around wherever you want to put them, however big or small you want them to be. They're more of a like clutter element to make kind of the temple look a little bit more realistic. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place all these plants around, and I will see you once I've finished that. So this is what mine is looking like. I've just placed around all those little plants around there, just kind of randomized it. You could use geometry nodes for this, but as this is a beginner tutorial, I don't want to overwhelm you with geometry nodes just at the moment. So I've just placed them. If you do Alt D or Shift D, then they will become duplicates of themselves. So if you change the textures or the properties, it'll change it for all of them. But if you do Shift D, it won't do that. So when we go into texturizing, which is what we're going to do right now, I will show you what I mean by that. So we're just going to go over here to the viewport shading so that as we texturize, you can actually see what we're doing. So we're going to go down here to material properties and we're going to go new. Now we have this little guy selected, and once we change the color of that, it'll change the color of all of those ones because we've made them instances of each other. I really love this like in between green and blue color, so I'm going to pick that one. I think I want to increase the roughness there, and I think that's all I need for that one. For these ones, I'm thinking these ferns are going to be a little bit darker, maybe a little too dark. Oh yeah. And then I'm also going to turn the roughness up for these guys as well. And then we have the third ones, which I wouldn't mind making this like in between yellow and green look. And then I'm also just going to select the middle pole and make it the same color. So that is how we've textured them. I'm also just going to increase the roughness for these ones, just like that. So that's what the plants are looking like, a really quick and easy way to do that, and I'm quite happy with what they're looking like. I might actually just quickly duplicate one of these guys, scale it down, and just bring it to the front, just because there are none of these ones in the front. And I might actually put it in this little gap back here, and I might just duplicate another one, just like that. So I'm quite happy with what that is looking like. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to go in and color in these tombs. So I'm going to add in another color, and I want this to kind of be a clay color, just like that. These are just the ruins, and then I'm going to add another color, which is going to be gold. I'm going to change the base color, and then I'm going to increase the metallic of it, and then I'm going to decrease the roughness. I'm going to apply it so we can actually see what we're doing. So I'm going to go over to face select. I'm going to select all the faces that are already selected, and then I'm also going to select these top ones and then these bottom ones as well, just like that. And then we want to go assign. So now we can see what that color is looking like, and I like that. I think that is so cool. I do think it's a little greeny, so I might just pull it over there a little bit, but I'm very happy with that. I'm also going to change the ruins color for that, and then I'm going to tab in and I want to select that back one. I'm just going to turn it into gold and assign it just like that. Oh yeah, I quite like that. I might even select all of those ones and make them gold as well. Add in another ring cut there and then make that gold. Yeah, I quite like what that is looking like. That is great. For these ones as well, we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to add in that material to them, the ruins material, and it's going to apply to all of them, which is great and a good time saver. We're going to tab into edit mode. As you can see, we've got a lot of faces to select. So I don't want to select all of them. I want to select these ones, and then maybe I want to select these ones as well. Plus over here, and then go gold and assign it. Oh yeah, I do think we need it on the base though as well, so we're just going to select the faces along the base and we're going to assign them there. I'm just going to add in another loop cut here, so it goes all the way to the bottom, and I might even choose these faces to assign there, just like that. So that is what the little ruins are looking like. And now we're going to go in and we're going to do the grass here, and we're also going to do the soil. So for the grass, we are going to go into the shaders tab, and we're going to go here and we're going to select grass. We're going to go and add a color ramp, and then we're going to add in a noise texture. We're going to put the factor into the factor and then the color into the base color, just like that. Then I'm going to change the greens. I'm just looking for several little green colors. You can look up color palettes if you want to, or you can just go with what your heart wants. So this is what it's looking like at the moment without even editing it. I actually might add in like a little yellow one too, just like that. I really like that look. It's kind of like a mossy look, but without actually having to add in all the moss. I am going to increase the scale, I think, and I think maybe this color is a little too off. I might actually just get rid of that one. Increase the detail, and you can distort it. I'm probably not going to distort it, and we can bring the scale in really small. What I might do is I might increase the scale and actually have it something like that, and then I might make the grass greens just a little bit more yellow than blue, because our plants are a little bit more blue than yellow. So that is kind of the vibe we're going for. For the soil, we're going to add a new one. We're going to call it dirt. We're going to add in a color ramp, and then we're going to add in the XYZ, and we're going to go generate to vector, and then we want Z to factor, and then we want color to base color. We want this one to be like a dark brown, a little darker than that, and then we want this one to be a little bit of a lighter brown like that. We can just pull this one up, and it can be like a hard stop if you want it to be, just like that. So the bottom is quite dark, and then we have the top just there. So this is what everything is looking like for this. As we're going to be going in and making lots of cubes like this, I'm going to do the lighting at the end. But what you can do is we can actually make this an asset so that we can bring it all together at the end and we're not actually building everything in the same area. If you do that and your computer isn't high spec, it can just consistently crash it. So if we bring it in just as assets from the asset library, then your computer's less likely to crash, you're more likely to actually be able to complete this. So what we're going to do is you can save it and then you can actually save a copy of it. So we want to call this one ruins, and then we want to call it maybe V1, save the copy. I'm now going to go in and open that copy, and you always just want to make sure that it did it right. As you can see, I have them both there. I'm going to go in, I have this extra little cube here, I'm just going to delete that because we don't need that right now. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to select everything, and I am going to apply all of the modifiers. So you can go through and individually do it. So we want to apply all the modifiers, we want to go object, and then we want to go to convert, and then convert to mesh. And as you can see, all the modifiers have been applied. So we can select all, and then we can go Control J, just like that. And so now it is one object. You can delete these little groups there, we don't need them. We can call this ruins, just like that. You right click, and you want to go mark as asset, just like that. So now you have this little guy marked as an asset. You have the original as well if you want to edit that at all. But yeah, that is how to mark it as an asset so that we can bring them all together later on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go new and I'm going to go general. So we're just going to make a little camp now. So we're just going to get rid of all of that stuff. And then what you can actually do is you can go into append. You can select the original one, not the one that you turned into an asset, go into collections, and you can actually go in and just delete the little assets off it. And then we have the cube, and we can start with the cube. I might just leave the grass on for now and just delete the other little things. And this isn't actually linked to the main one, so we can just go in and save, just like that. So this one we're going to make a little tent. So we're going to go in and we're going to start out with a cube. We're going to scale it down and we're going to go into slash mode. I'm going to scale it along the Y, just like that. What we're going to do is we're going to add a loop cut in the center just like this. We're going to select these vertices and we're actually going to bring them down just like that. We're going to add in one loop here and one loop here as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do face select these front faces, and I'm actually just going to delete the faces, just like that. Then I'm going to add in a bunch more loop cuts. So we want to add in maybe 3 there, and maybe a couple along the side, just like that. I'm going to go into vertice select. I'm going to select this vertex. I'm just going to move that one, and I'm just going to move them around just a little bit, just to give it this illusion that like the doors are swaying in the wind or something like that. And I'm just going to add in my other 2 loop cuts there. And maybe a couple loop cuts up here as well. And then you can just turn on proportional editing, scale it down, and just move them a little bit, just like that. I'm going to select all of the middle ones. And I'm actually going to bring it just down just a little bit, just like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all by pressing A. I'm going to right click and I'm just going to subdivide it once. Then I'm going to add in the subdivision modifier, probably 2 just like that. And I'm just going to play around with these little vertices. I do just think that they are a little bit obnoxious, to be honest with you. So I'm going to pull them in like that. And I'm quite happy with the rest of the modeling of it just like that. And then I'm just going to go in and shade it smooth. So I think that looks really good. To add a little bit more dimension to it, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select a bunch of the vertices on the side. So go face select. I'm going to select all of those ones. Go Control 3 and then select all the ones on that side as well, just like that. I'm going to go Shift D and P to separate the selection. So now we have this guy here. I'm going to pull him up a little bit because I think I will add a solidify modifier to him. I might just bring him back down just so it's a little blanket like on top of the tent to keep the tent warm. So I'm quite happy with what that's looking like. You can go in and you can play with some of the vertices as well if you want to. If you don't want it to be even, you can just move them a little bit, just like that. See what that's looking like, just like that. So I'm quite happy with that there. What I might do as well is just add a little solidify modifier to the tent, and then I will just pull up this little blanket. Just add a little bit more to it. I'm going to duplicate this tent as well. I'm going to scale it down across the Y, and then we're going to just have this other little blanket just like that, and I'm just going to move it up just like that. Now what you can do is you can go in, I'm going to go into slash mode, so I've just slashed that, and then I'm just going to select the bottom vertices. I'm going to go S, Z, and 0 just to straighten them out just a little bit, just because they were just a little bit too wonky, just like that. So we have that there. Now that we're out of slash mode, I'm going to go out, I'm going to pull it up. Before we do anything, I'm going to move this guy back, be a little bit up like that, and then I might go in and I might select the top ones just here, press 1, and actually just bring it down a little bit. So that is what my first little tent is looking like, and I might even just duplicate him just in case I do something wrong. As you can see, just on this side, just have a little couple issues, so I'm just going to get those vertices, pull them out, just like that. So now I'm just going to go in and I'm going to rotate them, just like that. Scale maybe just a little bit. I'm going to go Shift D because I don't want them to have the same properties. And I'm just going to scale this one down just a little bit, just like that. It is floating, so just bring it back down, bring it along the back like that, and just bring it up so there's no grass in it. I'm going to delete one of these and just scale this one out like that, just like that. So we have two very cute little tents there. Now what I want to do is I want to make some trees, so we're going to go in and do that now. So I'm going to start out with a cylinder. We're going to scale it all the way down, go into slash mode, and here we are. So I'm going to bring it up now. I'm going to add in a curve, which is a circle, bring it all the way down to about there, go Control A and apply all those transformations. I'm going to add in a round cube, and I'm going to turn it up to 1. And then I'm going to scale it. If you do not have a round cube, go up to Edit, Preferences, and then type in Extra Objects and make sure that is selected. I'm going to bring up this along the Y. I'm going to scale it just like that and bring it out just about there. Then I'm going to scale it along the X because it looks ridiculous. I'm going to apply those transformations. I'm also going to add in a subdivision modifier to it and shade it smooth. We're going to go in and add the array modifier. We want 5. We're going to turn off relative offset, turn on object offset, select the circle, go into the object properties, and then go 360 divided by 5. And now you have the roots going around the tree. I'm kind of happy with that, so I'm going to apply the array modifier, and at the moment just delete that circle. So now I'm just going to make this trunk just a little bit bigger, and I'm going to add the subdivision modifier to it. I'm going to select the top, and I'm going to inset, and then I'm going to extrude and scale, and I'm just going to do that with the bottom, so I, and then extrude and scale, and then shade that smooth just like that. And I'm just going to bring it down just a little bit. Perfect. I'm going to add in another round cube, scale it down, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate a bunch of these little cubes around, just like that. So I'm quite happy with that, and then I'm going to go in and add the subdivision modifier to them, and then I'm just going to go through and shade them all smooth, just like that. So I'm quite happy with what that is looking like, and you can make this tree look however you want, but I think he looks great. What I'm going to do is select all of these little pieces, and I'm just going to go Control J to join them. I'm going to select the whole tree, and I'm going to go in, New Collection, and this is Tree 1. So I'm quite happy with what that tree is looking like. I'm just going to move him away as we make a few more plants. Now we're going to go in and make a pine tree. So we're going to start out with a cylinder, and we're just going to scale it all the way down. Bring it up just like that. And tab into edit mode. We're going to select this face, and we're going to extrude and scale. I'm going to extrude it up to about there, and then scale that in. We'll just turn off proportional editing at the moment. We'll just scale that in, extrude and scale, extrude up, scale, bring that down, and then we're going to do that one more time. Then we're going to add the subdivision modifier to it, and what we will do is we'll go A, and then we will just subdivide it. Just once is good. Now it is looking like a Christmas tree, and that is because Christmas trees are pine trees, so you'll always have that problem sometimes when you're making things and be like, oh, this kind of looks Christmassy. So now we're going to go in and try to make it as much not like a Christmas tree as we possibly can. So I'm just going to add in another loop cut up there. Yeah, I'm quite liking that style there, just like that. And I do think maybe the base needs to be just a little bit shorter. So that is what that little tree is looking like, and I'm quite happy with what that is doing. I'll just add a little loop cut maybe in there. I actually might put that little loop cut not all the way out, just about there, just like that. So we have that beautiful little tree. Now we're just going to move that. Now we've got two little cute trees. I just scale him just there. Now for the third tree, what we're going to do is add in a cylinder, make it a lot smaller again, tab into edit mode, go to face select, select that face, scale, extrude and scale just like that, then extrude all the way up like this, scale the top just like that, and then add in a subdivision modifier. We want to go back in and we want to just add in a couple loop cuts. So we want to add in a loop cut down that way, a loop cut up this way, maybe not all the way to the top, maybe about there, a loop cut there, and a loop cut just there, and shade that smooth. So now we have this little tree as well. So we have 3 different variations of trees. We'll call this tree 2, and then we will call this tree 3. Select them all, press slash because we were in isolation mode, and we want to bring them up just here. What we want to do is now place them around, and what I'm going to do is I will do it and then I will come back and see you once I've done. So this is what it's looking like for me, and I'm quite happy with that. We have a bunch of little trees around everywhere. What I'm going to make now is a little campfire, so I'm going to go Shift A and we're going to add in a icosphere. We're going to go into slash mode and I'm going to scale it down. Going to bring it along the Y, and I might even just scale it along the X, just like this. I want to add the subdivision modifier to it, shade that beauty smooth, and then go Control A and apply all the rotations and scale. I'm going to go Shift A and add in another curve, which is a circle, and scale it down, and then do all of that again. I'm going to add the array modifier. I'm going to add in maybe 8 of them. I'm going to turn it to object mode, and then click this circle. This is my favorite technique that I use. That's why we've used it for the trees, and we also used it for the temple as well. So that is why we do it there. We're going 360 divided by 8, and they are all just like that. I quite like that, but I want them to be a little bit closer together, so I might actually increase this count to 10. So 360 divided by 10. And now they are touching, which I actually really like that. We're going to go back. We're going to apply the array modifier, delete this beauty, scale it. I might even scale it up just a little bit. I quite like that. We're going to go out of slash mode. We're going to bring it up. Now I'm just going to move the cursor to the center, just there, and I'm just going to add in some little flames. So the first flame I'm going to do will probably use an icosphere again, scale it all the way down because it is incredibly massive. Tab into edit mode, and then we want to go over to proportional editing and go to random because that'll randomize when it is scaling or doing whatever. So I think we're looking for something a little bit like this. Oh, actually I liked it like that. That is fun. So I'm going to go A, I'm going to go Shift D, turn off proportional editing, move it around, and I'm going to go Shift D again. Just like that. I'm just going to pull some of these vertices just around just like that, and then just pull it back. Scale it up, and there we have the little flames. What you could do is add a subdivision modifier to it, and then we will color it later. We'll just shade that smooth. What I might also do is add in another icosphere, scale it all the way down, scale it down along the Z, scale it out, just like that, and you can tab into edit mode, pick up some of those vertices, and randomize them just a little bit. And then shade that smooth. So now we have the cute little campfire as well. So I'm quite happy with this. I think what we're going to do now is go in and texturize it. So we're just going to save it. So for the first thing, we're going to go in and do the flames. We'll go into the shaders tab, just there. And we want to do a new one. So we're going to call this flame. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in a color ramp. And then we're going to add in a Fresnel. Just there, plug the factor into the factor, the color into the surface, just like that. We're going to add in a orange, make it brighter, and then we're also going to add in a yellow. So you can see the flames are coming together very, very quickly. They look very good. We're going to turn the IOR down to 0.85, just like that. And you can actually play around with how much or how little you want. I think I want this to be a little bit brighter, just like that. But I'm quite happy with what those little flames are looking like. For the rocks, I'm just going to give it a grey texture, and then I'm just going to turn up the roughness. And then I'm also going to give the base a little rock texture as well. For this tree, we're going to go in and we're going to add in the color ramp, and we're going to add in a Voronoi texture. We're going to plug in the distance to the factor, the color to the base color. As you can see, they have a bunch of little spots, just like that. So you can really play around with this however you want. I'm going to go in and make maybe that color, and then this color is probably going to be like a lighter version. I quite like that. So you can add as many or as little spots as you want. I'm probably just going to add in that many. I'm going to tab into edit mode, press 1 so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to go over here to the textures property, add a new texture, and then I'm going to call it bark, and I'm going to do a color ramp. I'm also going to do a noise texture. Plug the factor into the factor, the color into the base color, change these around just like that. We want to increase the scale. As you can see, nothing's happening right now, so we actually just need to go over and assign it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in a couple loop cuts just there, just so that we have that look. So we're going to increase the scale, put on that distortion, increase the detail just a little bit, and that is the little stumps. I quite like how they are turning out. This little tree, we're going to go in and go tree 2. And I think I just want it green. I feel like these types of trees are just plain green, you know. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to actually copy the bark texture. And then I'm going to add in a new texture, call that bark 2. And then paste that in and then put that there. I'm just going to go into slash mode so we can see what we're doing. We're going to use face select. We're going to select around all of these vertices and we're going to assign that texture. You might need to add a couple more loop cuts here as well. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make the colors darker, just like that. So that is the look I am going for. Then we have our third tree, and I quite like this tree, tree 3. I think I'm kind of going for something like that. I'll turn up the roughness there as well. And then I'm also going to use bark, maybe bark 1 for this one, and then also do it for the bottom pieces as well. Just like that. That's what I am looking at. Now I'm just going to go in and color the little tents. So I'm just going to go in, add a new color. I think I want this one to be like blue, and then I'm just going to turn the roughness up. The undercoat of it to maybe be like a darker blue. Pull that roughness up. And then here, maybe I want this to be, I don't want it all to be blue. Maybe just a little bit purple, just like that. For this one here, I'm thinking that we're going to make it maybe, we can't make it green. Maybe we'll make it orange. I quite like that one. So then we'll do another color, maybe red, and then maybe these top ones are pink because I really like pink. We're going to turn the roughness down on all of them, and that is what the top of it is looking like. I'm quite happy with that. What we're going to do now is we're going to change the bottom bit because we don't want it to be the exact same as the ruins. So I might just make it a little bit darker. I could decrease the scale and just make it like that. I want to increase the roughness, and then I also want to change the base of this. So maybe they're on really dark soil. I quite like that. So this is what the little tent scene is looking like. You've learned how to do the array modifier for root systems for the trees. We played around with the tents and modeling the tent, and we also made the fire. And I'm very happy with how this cutie is looking. What we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing that we did for the ruins. So we're going to save it firstly. That's very important. I'm just going to delete this little tent because I don't feel like I need it anymore. I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go Save a Copy. And we're going to call it Camp, whatever your filing system is. My filing system is Camp V1, and then I'm going to save the copy. I'm then going to go in, I'm going to open, and I'm going to open the copy of that. I'm going to select the whole thing, Object, Convert to Mesh. Then I'm going to go in, select, and go Control J, and now change this collection to, this is called Camp, and then we want to mark as an asset. And yeah, I'm very happy with this second one as well, and I can't wait till we put them all together, and I really hope you learned some great tips and tricks from this today, and I can't wait to see what this one looks like. So now we are going to make the third cube biome, and we're just going to delete everything in the scene once again. Go up to File, go to Append, and we're going to append the last collection we did. If you don't remember what we did, we just selected the Low Poly Island collection, and then we just selected that there. We just went in and deleted all the little assets on it so that it looked just like this. Now what I'm wanting to do is I'm actually wanting to create like a little bit of a pond biome, maybe add in some ducks or something. So we're going to try and do that now, and I'm going to show you a bunch of tips and tricks along the way to make this great. What we're going to do is we're actually going to start by getting rid of that completely. We're going to tab into edit mode, and we're going to select one. We're going to go Alt Z, and then we're going to select these top vertices here, Shift D and P to separate by selection. I'm just going to turn the color off them. It's a little bit distracting. I'm going to go out. I'm going to scale it like that, and I might even bring it up a little bit. I'm going to go into edit mode, get this vertice, and I'm going to extrude it down just like that. I'm going to go to edge select, and I want to select just these edges just here and just scale them just out like that. Now if we just add a color to this, it'll be a little bit easier to see what's going on. So we're just going to select the middle face, and we're going to extrude it down just like that. Just so it's a little pond. If you just go over here to viewport shading, it's just a little bit easier to see that pond. We're going to go to edge select, we're going to select these little edges along here, and we're just going to scale them out a little bit, just so the pond is a little bit more indented there. We're going to go back into edit mode. You can press Alt Z or Control Z to go into X-ray mode. We're going to Shift D, P to separate that face just there. We're going to go out of X-ray mode, and I'm just going to bring up that just there. And I'm just going to set the origin to geometry. I'm going to scale it just like that. So that is our little pond there. I'm just going to add another level to the viewport shading. So there's 3. And then I'm also going to do that for the little river as well. What we could do is we can bring it down, and then we could just use the solidify modifier to bring it up. Or what we can do is I might bring it up to about there, tab into edit mode, press A, and then subdivide it. Subdivide it a bunch of little times, just like that. And then we want to go to edge select, select some of these edges, turn on proportional editing, and you can also turn on random, and go G and move them around. Just like that. Just to give the illusion a little bit of water. So that's kind of what we're going for. Tab out of there, and now we just have some bumpy water there. I'm wanting this to be like a little duck pond. I really like ducks. So we're going to try and make some ducks. I have a cute idea for making ducks. Hopefully they don't look too much like penguins, but this is kind of the style that I like to design in. So we're going to go Shift A and we're going to add in a round cube and we're going to turn the radius up to 1, just like that. I'm going to select that round cube, go into slash mode so that it's a little bit isolated. Press 1 and then we're going to scale it up, just like there. We're going to tab into edit mode, turn on X-ray, and delete those vertices on the side. Then we are going to turn on the mirror modifier. So now you can see it is on both sides. I'm going to turn on proportional editing but put it on smooth and select these vertices and just bring them out. I just want the circle to just be a little small so it doesn't actually break it. What you can do is just turn on clipping in the side so that when you use proportional editing it's not actually going to break it. I'm just going to bring down these little sides, maybe something like that. I'm going to add in a subdivision modifier to it as well. Just like that. That is very cute. That is what I am looking for. Now I want to go in and add the feet. So I'm probably going to use a cylinder with just 16 vertices there. I'm going to scale it down. Bring it down. I might press 7 just so I can see a little bit what I'm doing there. I actually kind of want it to just be about there. I'm going to go in and go to edit mode. I want to extrude it down a little bit more. Just maybe there. Add in a loop cut just about there. And then we're going to do his little cute feet. So we're going to select those two faces, these two faces, and these two faces. That is very cute and what I am looking for. Just press period on your keyboard again and just go back to the median point. I'm wanting to add in a subdivision surface to this. Just like that. Oh my god, they are so cute. Look at that. I'm very happy with those little feet. I'm going to go Control A and apply all of the rotations and scales. I'm actually also going to go in and just add in another loop cut up there. I'm going to add in the mirror modifier and now you can see he's got 2 little feet just like that. He is a cute little duck. Oh, I love him. We're going to go in and add some eyes. We're just going to use a round cube for that. Scale that down, pull that along the Y, compress 3 and then scale it along the Y as well. Scale it up along the Z just like that and then scale it down. Add the subdivision modifier to it and shade that smooth. We're going to go pull it back along the Y, pull it up, and then I don't want him to be a cyclops, so I'm just going to do it like that. What you can also do is you could tab into edit mode, you could go into X-ray mode, and then you could literally just go through and delete all of those vertices. Then you could select this vertice loop, extrude it along the Y, and pull those eyes in. And that's a really good way to get those eyes looking good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to apply all of that scaling and we're going to add in the mirror modifier. So now he's got 2 very, very cute eyes. I'm quite happy with those and I'm just going to move them back into the head just a little bit more. And I might even move them a little bit and then reapply that scale. Just like that. I'm quite happy with what those are looking like. Next we're going to go in and do his little beak. And I think what we use for this is maybe a round cube again. Scale it in, pull it in along the Y, scale, and then I want to scale it along the X just like this, and then I want to select these vertices, use proportional editing, and I want to pull it up just like that. And then I also want to add in the subdivision modifier to it. I'm going to shade that smooth, bring it down, press 3, bring it back, and then I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to rotate it along the X by 180, bring it up just like that. I'm going to go into the top one again with that middle loop selected, and what I'm going to do is I want to make it a little smaller. I actually want to pull it out along the Y. I might even just select these vertices just like that for his little beak. He's looking very cute. So I'm quite happy with that. And then we need to give him some little cute wings. So I'm going to go in, shade that smooth over here, and I'm going to add in a round cube again, scale it down, pull it out along the X. I'm going to scale it up, and then I'm going to scale it flat, just like this. Oh, that is too big. And then I'm just going to rotate it just a little bit, bring it down, press 7, make sure it's actually like in his little body. And I just maybe rotate it just a little bit more, add the subdivision surface to it, shade it smooth, and I think I want to bring it a little bit forward, just like that. We're going to apply the rotation and scale, and then we're going to add in the mirror modifier. So he's got 2 little wings on each side. I am very, very happy with how this little guy is looking. What we're going to do is we're going to select the whole thing, and we're going to go M, and we're going to say duck 1, because we might do a couple color variations of this guy. But for now, he's so cute. Alright, he's looking great. I can't wait to see what you do with him and how you make him, but for now, he's so, so cute. Other things we need to make for this pond biome is some plants. So we need some maybe lilies to go in the water. We need a bunch of little vines and all that type of thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to create the lilies to start with. I'm going to go in with a plane, scale it down, press slash, scale it along the X, go into edit mode, do 2 loop cuts there and 1 loop cut there. We want to scale on this side, can turn off proportional editing for this part, turn on proportional editing to select that one, G, and we want to pull it like that. We want to add in another loop cut there, and we want to pull that one down, just like that. Add in a subdivision modifier, select all by pressing A, extrude it up, just like that. I want to select these vertices, and I just kind of want to bring them down, just there. I'm going to then rotate to about there, bring it across, and then I want to apply all those transformations just like that. I want to add in the array modifier, and I also want to bring in that curved circle again. We're just going to bring that down, apply the transformations. In the array modifier, I'm wanting maybe 9 petals. And then I want to go 360 divided by 9. And it's looking a little funny because I forgot to change the object offset. So just select that curve. And this is what the little flower should be looking like, and this is our lily. So then I'm going to apply that array modifier, add in another array modifier, this time above. We just want it to be in there. Then we just want to duplicate this with Alt D, scale it, bring it up, rotate it, just like that. We scale it up just a little bit more. And then we're going to do 1 more, and then just rotate that one. So this one is our lily. We're going to press M in a new collection, and we're going to say lily, just like that. So that's cute. We're going to go out of slash mode, and then we're going to pull it down here, just like that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make some little bits of like leaves and stuff that'll come out of the water. So we're going to go Shift A, add in the plane, scale it down, press slash, scale it along the X, tab into edit mode, press R. We want maybe 3 loop cuts, 1 loop cut in the middle, scale these down, turn off proportional editing for this part, scale it, turn back on proportional editing. I might select all by pressing A and then scale along the X like that. Then we just want to add in a little bit of a curve. So we'll do that curve, and then we're going to select all, extrude down just there, and then add in the subdivision modifier just there. We're going to rotate it. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees, bring it up, and then we're going to add in set the origin to geometry. And then what I might actually do is just scale it out a little bit, just so there's a little bit more depth to this piece of grass just there. Then what I'm going to do is just Alt D or Option D, just go in and scale, just duplicate these a bunch of times. You can do this with geometry nodes if you are comfortable doing them. This course is not for people who are up to the level of geometry nodes, or if you're just wanting to create something without geometry nodes. So yeah, I'm just going to duplicate these a bunch of times, bring them down, and just scale them. So you can do this however you want, and I will see you back here once I've just finished doing all this grass. So this is what my little grasses are looking like. I'm just going to go Control J or Option J to join them. If it doesn't work, just try doing it a couple of times. Just like that. And then I'm going to go in and I'm just going to call this grass. Perfect. Now out of slash mode. And then we're just going to go around like this. Scale it down just there. Perfect. Now what I'm wanting is a couple little trees. So I'm just going to go in and I'm going to add in a cylinder, and then I'm going to scale it down. Go into slash mode, tab into edit mode, and I'm actually probably just going to, let's just pull this up to about there. Perfect. And then I want to add in some round cubes, and then I might just scale them down just a little bit. Just like that, scale them in, and then I'm just going to duplicate them around, just something like that. I want to give it a little bit more dimensions. I'm just going to add leaves in on each side, and then also duplicate that for the back as well. Just something like that. I'm very, very happy with what that's looking like. I'm going to add in the subdivision modifier to this guy and to all the other little leaves. Going to shade them smooth. Perfect. And then I'm just going to add the subdivision modifier to this little trunk as well. And then tab into edit mode, add in a loop cut to the top, loop cut to the bottom as well. Just like that. So I'm quite happy with what that is looking like. I'm going to bring it up and out just a little bit, and we're going to call it tree 1. I'm just going to go in and color some of these things to start with. So we'll go and change the viewport shading. I want this tree to be green, so we'll just go down to the textures, give it a nice green there. And then also color the bar. Just increase the roughness on both of those. For the lily, I want her to be pink. And what I might do is just join them like that, and then actually go Shift D and create another couple variations of them, because I want some purple ones too. So this one I want it to be purple, and then this one, maybe even just like a little bit more blue. Just like that. These little bits of grass, I'm just going to make them, I'm going to go in and color this duck. So this is a mallard duck. So we're going to go in with a yellow beak, something along those lines. I'm going to tune up that roughness. And then I'm going to go in with the eyes, and then I'm just going to decrease the roughness a little bit for their eyes. The little legs are going to be orange. Oh, that's so cute. They look great. Then his body, I think, is going to be like a little bit grey. Oh my god, he's looking a little bit like a pigeon at the moment. And then his wings are going to be green, but like a darker green, just like that. So I'm quite happy with what he's looking like. And I'm just going to duplicate him just again, just in case we mess him up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place everything around, and I will see you after all of that. Perfect. So this is what I have. This is what it's all looking like. And now I think we just go in and color like the water and this little grass bit as well. So I'm going to go to the shading tab. I'm just going to save everything I have. Then I'm just going to go new. We're going to go to grass. And we've made this a couple times now, so we'll go color ramp, and then we'll go noise. Put the factor into the factor, the color into the color, and then choose your little greens. Just like that. We want another one. Yeah, actually, I kind of like that vibe, but I might make these just a little lighter. What we could do is go in and give it a translucent BSDF, and then just change the color to blue. And then when we render this, it'll be a lot more blue than that. If you want to check it though, you can just put up an area light just about here, and then turn on the viewport display, and you'll be able to see what this is looking like just there. You could also go in and add in a noise texture and even a color ramp, and then we could just change the colors here, maybe like a blue and just another shade, and then it just adds in just a little bit more shadowing in the water, just like that. We can just turn this up a little bit, and you can just see what that's looking like there. So I'm just going to delete the light for now, go back to the normal mode, and just go here. So this is what he's looking like. I quite like it, but the only thing I don't like is this little base bit. So we are just going to go into edit mode, and I think what we do is we just go in and apply the subdivision, go into edit mode, and I'm just going to go in and select some of these little vertices and just extrude them out. You can add another subdivision modifier as well if you want them to be a little bit rounded, and maybe there's just one big one on the side. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and add a solidify modifier and just bring it in just like that. And that is what this little one is looking like. What we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to go File, Save Copy, and we're going to call this Pond Biome V1, whatever your style is. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to go open that one, because then we have a duplicate of it. We're going to delete that. We're going to select everything, go to Object, Convert to Mesh, and then join it all. Just like that. And I'm very, very happy with how that's turned out. I've also just realized there's this cube in the background. We will delete that. We're going to select it all. We're going to delete these little collections, delete that collection. We're going to rename this, this was called Pond Biome. And then we're going to mark this as an asset, which is perfect. So I hope you really liked making your pond biome. You learned a bunch of tips and tricks about how I do grass without geometry nodes, how I also do the lilies as well, and then how I also model the trees and how I model the duck. So now that we've made a few biomes, I'm going to show you how to do the lighting, bring them in the asset library, and do the camera so that we can render everything. So to start with, what you need to do is you need to make sure that all of your folders are in one folder together so we can bring them all in, and also make sure that they are marked as an asset. Once that happens, which should already be, then go to preferences just there, and you want to go plus, and then you want to add in wherever your folder is, and you just add it to a library. So if I was just to click this one, you can just go add to asset library. I've already brought in my cube biomes, so they're just here. Down the bottom, just here, we can change this to asset browser. Then we can select cube biomes, and they've all turned up. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to delete everything in the scene, and we're going to start bringing in our biomes. So we've got the first one, second one, and the third one. So I'm going to line them all up together. You can press 1 and then bring them next to each other. Just something like that there. The more biomes you make, you can add them around anywhere. If you've made more biomes, you can do it the same way like this. I'm going to go up here and we're going to change the mode. Now you can see all the beautiful colors have come through and the beautiful biomes. So I really, really like the way they're looking. And because we brought them in an asset library, you can't actually individually go in and edit. You can only go into object mode for these guys, and they are linked to the ones that in the folder. So just be wary of that. But I'm quite happy with what they're looking like. I'm just going to bring them over to the middle. And now we're going to do the lighting. So I'm going to go Shift A, and I'm going to add a plane, press down, and then scale it. I'm going to tab into edit mode, go to edge select, select that back one, extrude it up. I'm going to select this one, Control B, and bevel it. Tab back out, shade smooth. So I'm quite happy with the placement there. I'm going to just bring it up just a little bit. Now we're going to add in the camera. So Shift A and then camera. Then we're going to press 0 on our numpad. And then we're going to go over to view and camera to view, and then we can actually position the camera like this. So I actually want to be on a little bit of an off angle, just something like that, and then I can just move this one as well. So now I'm going to go turn off camera to view, and I'm going to add in a point light. Move it up, move it back, and then move it back a little bit more. Maybe move it down just there. We're going to turn on this mode so you can see what's happening. You can either render in Eevee or cycles. I'm going to keep it in Eevee for now so you don't feel sick as everything is flashing on the screen. So I'm just going to turn on ambient occlusion and bloom, just like that, and I'm just going to save my document. I'm going to go into the light settings. I'm going to turn it up to about 150. Could turn it up maybe even more, just like that. And I'm also just going to give it a little bit of a color. I'm then going to go in and add an area light. Probably pull it back, pull it along there, rotate it towards. I'm just going to click 7. I want it to be just like that. I'm going to turn it up to about 250 and then also turn it into an eclipse. And I might just scale it just a little bit. And then I'm going to add in a little sun, so light, sun. I'm gonna pull it up along the Y, just along the X. We're gonna have it just off camera there, and I want to rotate it to about there. I'm going to change the color, be about this color, and I'll change the background color as well, make it a little bit warmer, just like that. I'm gonna just change the camera, something like that. And now I'm just gonna kind of fiddle with everything until I think it looks good. So I'm gonna pull that back. And then as you do this, what you can do is you can go in and you can render it, see what it's looking like, see how you want the lighting to be, and that's really all there is to the lighting. So as you can see, I need to fix some of the lighting here. This is quite dark. I'm going to go through it. I'm going to render mine in cycles, so I'm going to play around with those settings quite a bit, and then I will show you what it looks like rendered. After all of that, let me show you what my 3 biomes are looking like. Wow! I hope you really enjoyed this tutorial, and I cannot wait to see what you have made. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will now see you in the next video.